Hey folks, how's it going? So this is Curious UK here, and I'm just going. This is a bit of a video here of some astrophotography I've done. Did it a while back here, and I do a few videos like this. Something that has come to my attention is that sometimes flat earthers bring up how stars look. They use the P1000s or P900s, but they're not able to use them correctly. They use them automatic settings, so using manual focus and learning how to do astrophotography. I myself, I have a Celestron Astromaster 130, which I use, and I have a SV Boney SV205 planetary camera, and that's what I use. I hook up to my laptop. So there's some videos here, or some images, and I'm also going to show you some videos of some planets like Jupiter with the Jupiter's moons, um, Mars, Venus, and also some stars. I did like the Pleiades star cluster, which, if you look at it from like just look up in the night sky with the eyes, it looks like just like a kind of a fuzzy star, but it's actually a cluster of stars. So I can get in into the telescope. The telescope's actually a very narrow focal field of view, as opposed to what like Mikey Smith claims is that his Celestron binoculars he thinks are a tighter view than my telescope. Well, his binoculars are something like maybe 40 times zoom, but my telescope's 307 times zoom. So it's much more tighter, focused in, and I guarantee what he's seeing in his binoculars was nothing even close to how the detail and how focused in and how close I can get in and tighter view on a celestial object like stars and stuff like that. So I'll show that. I also have I think the planet Venus as well in this one. I'll be doing Saturn when it comes up further up in the night sky. Right now, I think coming into summertime, I won't see Saturn until probably like midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, where I'm at. That's when it finally just comes down high enough up in the sky that you can see it. Through the winter months, I couldn't see it at all. It's on the other side of the globe, and so anytime I actually be in my sky would be in the daytime, and that obviously ain't gonna work. So yeah, let's go on here and see if we can get this done. All right, so for the first images here is Jupiter and the four Galilean moons. So you can kind of see them here. All right, the next images here is Jupiter after I've stacked it and run it through some processing software, kind of clean it up and to sharpen up the image a bit and just make it look a lot nicer. So next here is Jupiter, and this is kind of how it would look in the telescope. Now this has been run through a program called PIP, and what it does is that it takes all the images in the video because the video will actually be moving across my screen as the Earth rotates. This takes that and centers it into the middle, so that way it makes it a lot easier to run through your stacking software and line everything up. So what you're seeing here is just the image of like Jupiter, but it's like a video that's been centered in the middle. This would be the same thing as if you had like a tracking mount with a telescope, in which is able to lock on to an object if you had like a tracking scope on top, a smaller one, and then you would actually keep a celestial object in the center of your frame, and that's how some of these guys get these really fantastic uh, images of the planets. Is they do a long exposure, but they have a mount that can track the celestial bodies and move along as the Earth rotates. And it appears that the planets are moving across the sky, but it's actually Earth's rotation, and that's what you're seeing. All right, so next we have Mars. Now, Mars is actually a relatively small planet. Well, I say small; it's about the size of Earth, if you know, and it is like the fourth planet out. But depending on how it's being imaged and stuff like that, and your atmospheric conditions, sometimes it's actually a bit difficult to get. It's up there with some of the other ones. Jupiter and Saturn, because the size of them and how bright they are, they're relatively easy to get into the telescope. But Mars, it presents a bit more of an issue, and then depending on how the storms are, depends on how it shows up in the telescope. But this is the best images I could get, but it's something I'm still working on. So as you can see here, I actually have some video of Mars, the same thing as I had with Jupiter, in which I run it through the software to kind of center it all in frame, so it's not moving across the frame. And I actually blew this up a little bit just so you can kind of see the images a bit better and give you an idea how Mars would look in your telescope if you're looking at it. Obviously, in if you had a fairly good eyepiece, or like how I have it, where I can look at the screen and I can use my planetary camera. So with this here, is if you can see how it's flickering, and that is due to the atmosphere that is around the Earth. I actually will it makes light bend and flicker. That's why you see stars and stuff that flickers. You look at them, and that's because the atmosphere is different disturbances. It's different temperature variations and stuff like that, and it causes light to refract and bend at different levels. That's where you see sometimes like some stars will kind of flicker or change color. Or in this case here, you see obviously the planet looks like it's wobbling a bit. If you see it shaking up and down, that's just because that's just the software trying to keep it centered as much as it can. It can, but that's just subtle variations within the software to try to keep it centered as it can, each frame by frame. From the video I did on my camera, my laptop, in which you would have seen the planet actually moving across the screen with the rotation of the Earth. So next you see is the Pleiades star cluster, and so you can see different stars kind of in there, and there's several there, but this is what I can get in one frame. So here you'll see the stars actually tracking across the screen, and this just because hadn't actually run it through the PIP so much. This is pretty accurate to how they look. This is my telescope focused right in, very fine tuned, and then you can see them moving across. You'll see sometimes a different star or the stars take off, and it's choppy like this because you're having to take the exposure right up, and it's really heavy on the computer and on the CPU to try to keep up because it's actually a lot of data. It's trying to take in a lot of light, and it's trying to take in a lot of information, and so it runs kind of like that. And that's why sometimes like the moon and stuff will get really smooth because you can take the exposure right down, and it's not having to run the camera at such a wide open and try to keep the aperture open as much. So that's why you're seeing it kind of run like this, but it gives you a fairly good idea. Now this is actually the star Pollux. It switched from Pleiades to Pollux. So this is Pollux. I could be pronounced that wrong. Excuse me if I am. But and there's two stars that are kind of fairly close together. Right, and this is Pollux one more time again here. I think I changed the aperture a tiny bit here, so you're seeing a little less of the two stars and one. Um, this is a few months back, so don't quote me exactly on it, but I do notice Pollux because luckily I do actually label my files when I take these on. All right, now this is Venus. Yes, so Venus kind of looks like a quarter moon or half moon, and that's because Venus is obviously the second planet from the sun, and we only normally will see it by half or quarter because we're seeing it's inside of us, so we can't see the full face of it. We'll only see about quarter half because that's the side that the sun is reflecting off of. Venus is a highly reflective surface, and that's why it looks so bright. So whenever you see Venus in the sky, you only will ever see it just after sunset or just before sunrise, and just above the horizon. And it looks very bright because of its reflectivity. But you'll see it if you see it in the morning. Then obviously when the sun comes up, you won't be able to see it anymore because it is too bright. And if it's just after sunset, you'll see it for a little bit, depending on where it is in its orbit, and then you'll see it set below the horizon. So it's one of those ones you have to kind of get out there kind of early and get your telescope lined up. And depending on how high it is, and depending on how built up of an area you are, or if you have trees and stuff, will depend if you can see it and how long you'll see it for. I was lucky, and it's fairly high up in the sky, and I've had a few good shots of it. It's quite a good little planet to see, but yes, this is most definitely Venus. So yeah, I actually got quite a few shots of this. You'll see this is the video, obviously, as I've said, done through my PIP. So and that's PIP is PIPP, in case anybody's interested. And so that's where you see the fluctuations and obviously the atmosphere in front of it. And it's, like I said, it was quite a novel thing for me to actually be able to get. Normally, I'm fairly busy with, I have three children that go to school that I pick them up and then got stuff to do after and everything else. And I don't always get out. So when I was able to get out and see Venus and actually had clear skies because I live in the UK, so that's, a rare thing in itself, then I was happy to be able to get as many shots as I could while it was still above the horizon, or above where I could see, because I live in a bit of a built-up area. Being in the UK, a lot of houses are quite close together, and obviously lots of trees as well. Anybody ever been to the UK or know the UK knows that we have some areas that have quite a few trees, as well as like I said, the buildings are quite close together. But yeah, so this is different ones here. Some of them I was messing around with the exposure, trying to see if we get better detail and stuff like that. And then I think some here you'll see further on. I believe there's some cloud cover stuff getting in the way. In fact, I know there was. I do remember this. And so you'll see it kind of fade out a bit. You're still able to get, even though you think it's quite a bit of cloud cover, I was still able to get quite a good, still good shots of it, and my telescope's still able to pick it up. I was actually quite rather amazed because I couldn't see it with my eyes, but yet my telescope with my camera could still be able to see it through the clouds a bit. It still pick it up ever so faintly. Obviously, I can move the exposure up and bring in more light, and I was still able to kind of get it to come through. So I thought that was actually rather cool. So that's why you see it kind of fade out and it kind of brightens up again. That's me messing with exposure, bringing exposure up so that I can bring in more light. and then we see really bright, so then I just had to bring the exposure back down again. But that's just kind of me messing. And I'm still learning. Astrophotography I've been doing for it's gonna be nearly a year. I had got my telescope just in the summer, beginning of summer last year, and then my wife bought me my planetary camera for my birthday, which is in the summer. So I was able to start in the summertime. So some of the I'm still getting used to it and gaining my skills and stuff like that. As well as I've said before, I live in the UK, so I also have to wait for those clear nights when it's not raining or there's not loads of cloud cover. And obviously, wintertime, well, we call it the rainier season. So we have the rainy season in the UK and the rainier season, which is colder and wetter. So yeah, sometimes winter isn't always the best time to get observations. Um, or just being frosty and cold because high humidity here still. Some of my other telescopes, they would start fogging up or frosting up on me. That was always fun too. But yes, this was definitely Venus here, and hope you enjoyed this. This was the last one I have on this. I will put up some more. I have some more observations, pretty much the kind of same ones, but I'm refining my technique a bit more. So hope you enjoy. Leaving comments. If you want to leave a comment, um, follow my videos. Like I said, subscribe to my channel, share it out, and click that like button. And hopefully, I will see you soon. Enjoy. All right, so there you go. That is some of my astrophotography I was able to get. This was a few months back. At the end there, I sort of apologize for some of the Venus, some of the video there. That shaking there is just simply down to the fact of me bumping the telescope and stuff, and then obviously this only takes a very very small a bit of movement in the mount and the scope for it to make a massive difference with that. Like I said, since zooming in so far, the tiniest little vibration looks like a massive shaking, and so that's why you're seeing that. But that was it. So I appreciate you coming around. Have a look for more videos I'll be putting up, as well as watching my live streams. I try to stream every Sunday at 9 p.m. UK time. That's 9 p.m. Greenwich. And also on Wednesdays, I try to get on 9 p.m. to usually around midnight or so on Wednesdays, and that's 9 p.m. Greenwich time, 9 p.m. UK time. Hopefully, to see you there. Get some people in the chat there, and if anybody was interested to have me on their channels, have a little chat. I'm more than welcome, open to that, and or if anybody wants to come on and have a little chat here, you can fire me my email, which is on my channel here, and I do check it quite often. And we can set up a time for you to come on and we can have a little chat. We're gonna talk about just shoot the shit, or we can talk about the flat Earth or the globe Earth or anything else. I'm all open for it. Hopefully, see you there. Thanks for watching, and see you again.